am the co-founder of an organisation called Expert Growth with Ian. I've been running my business for the last 30 years, working with small business owners and directors, helping them to start, develop and grow their business. Ian, do you want to introduce yourself before you dash off?
Yes, I will, just so you know who I am. Yeah, look, my name's Ian. I'm an ex-banker. I was in banking for 30 odd years. Came out of banking in 2010, having concentrated nearly all on corporate and business finance. In 2013, I decided I needed to do something. So I set up a commercial finance brokerage because finance really was the only thing I knew. And in 5 years, I took that from me sitting in a little office on my own to about 28, 29 staff, turnover 3.5 million, and an EBITDA of close to 500,000 a year. And I sold out in 2019 to a large corporate. I'm still a director of that business. I'm really just on an advisory strategy type role. Obviously doing this now with Tony, so all quite exciting. I've been there. I always say very, very quickly, I've been comforted with the old blanket with working for an institution, and suddenly I went out in the trenches being a business owner and then realized that in fact I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, and it was quite an enlightenment for me. So I know what it's like.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so we like to call this our dojo because this is the place we come to train, where we can be with other people who are training on our journey to mastery, but really secretly knowing we're probably never going to achieve mastery or perfection, but it's the journey that we love. So that's us. So today is, as I say, it's all about helping us, sharing 10 big ideas to help you discover your purpose and to fulfill your destiny. How woo is that? Fulfill your destiny. But why this matters. So everything that I do is based on my research over the last 30 years that I was really about help me to become successful, whatever that looked like. Because I always felt that I wasn't successful. I didn't have much confidence. And so I went out into the big wide world to find the secrets to success, which I did publish in my book in 2018, available in all good bookstores. This is all scientifically proven. This is stuff that really does matter. It's stuff that all successful people in all walks of life do. And so I'm going to share those ideas with you and hopefully give you some, food for thought. We're only here for an hour, but food for thought about why does this stuff really matter? Why does getting aligned to your purpose really matter? And there's a lot in here that's all about self-awareness. So we could have really called it self-awareness 101. It's like, who are you? Who do you want to be? And how are you going to fulfill that? And so getting us to have a think about that. So while we do that, do you want to do a quick introduction? While there's not huge numbers on, we can allow you to just, unmute yourself, tell us who you are and what you do, and why you're here, because we've got some new people on this week, so it would be good to hear from you that. If we go around the room, start with Trevor.
Good morning.
Moment.
Oh, sorry, no worries. Good morning, everybody. I'm Trevor Henry. I live up St Michael's near Garstang, just north of Preston, just for your information. I'm the director of a company called National Federation for Personal Safety. Formally, the title is Prevention and Management of Work-Related Violence, but if you think conflict resolution, long worker safety training, physical restraint, and other PPE, personal protective equipment type training that enforcement officers use, then that's the area we train people in BTECs, and that's our, if you wish, our USP. We offer a BTEC qualification in conflict management, physical restraint, handcuffing, etc. I've touched on a little bit where I'm from, as I say, St Michael's near Garstang, really, but my background is, with my introduction, is army and police. So on one hand, you could say I'm very institutionalized. I like to think I'm not, but most people say I am. And why am I here? I've been involved in employment for a long, long time. So I just want to improve my professional development, knowledge, and be focused on a, if you wish, particular audience that we want to reach out to. But that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thanks, Treble.
Michelle?
Hello, I'm Pam. I currently live in York in the UK, and I'm here to keep focused on what I'm doing from several different directions.
You want to tell us what you do?
Oh yeah, I have been running a project for the last 25 years, which I've now turned into, or I'm turning into, a community interest company called the Rainwater Academy for Independent Living, and it's teaching people how to be more self-reliant, less reliant on big corporate businesses that are profiteering, so that for everyday expenses, so that people can become more reliant on themselves again when we've lost those skills over the last 3 generations. So it's taking everything back and teaching people to look after themselves again.
Love it. And I love that company name. Pam's just come up with that. Well, not come up with that. Spent a long time thinking about a company name, and I love the Rainwater Academy. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Pam. Kim?
Hi, I met Tony by doing some coaching with her, and I am a virtual assistant. So I set up the business about 3 years ago after coming out of teaching. So I think probably up until now, I'm preaching to the converted with you, Tony, here, aren't I? But up until now, I've probably allowed it to carry me. Now I'm trying to sort of think about where my strengths are, where we want to take the business, and almost it's probably more confidence for me, this, and reminding me that I am my own barrier. So yes, and I'm based not too far from Trevelle, near Preston.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, we always are our own worst enemies. Absolutely. Stu?
Morning, everyone. Yeah, Stu, I'm very close to Pam in York. I've known Tony now for a few years, both in a client and customer perspective. I've benefited from some of her input to me, which has been very useful. And the one thing I'm really crap at is following through on shit that I say I'm going to do. So that's why I'm here, is to make sure I try and kick off 2025 in a year in a different way than I have before. My business is helping people with risk management around mainly SMEs, around things like risk around people. So people getting ill, people dying in your business, not being engaged, not being motivated. And I help small businesses in that sort of area. I've been doing that for about 8 years. So business is reasonably stable. When I've got some plans to try and kick ass and do something a bit bigger. And as I said, I'm shit at getting that done.
Excellent. Okay, thanks for that, Stu. Grace?
Like that.
Hi, I'm Grace. So I'm kind of based probably in the middle of all of you. I'm near Leeds. My background's in property, mainly residential, recently branching out into more planning and land. I'd say I'm more at the stage of my career. I'm probably Tony before she did all her research. So I'd like to think I'm like at the beginning, wanting to be successful, putting a lot of pressure. So I'm here to just absorb hopefully all of your knowledge and hopefully use it. So very much at the listening and observing, not at the director running a business role yet. But that is hopefully the plan in the future. So just trying to speed up that process and take in everything.
Yeah, brilliant, Grace. I love it. Yeah, don't forget all to share your details in the chat. Good opportunity to network amongst each other. And Anne, hello.
Hello, hi, I'm Anne. I live in London. I was a teacher and a lecturer at Middlesex University. And after retiring, I took myself back to Kenya, where I grew up, and found that the girls that I was working with in school don't go to school when they have a period. So I started fundraising about 7 years ago to provide them with reusable period pads. Leap forward 7 years, and now we're providing menstrual and sexual health education. We now have programs where we work with boys because the stigma, the taboos are still widely spread, and just getting girls to go back into school. I also work with women who've just come out of prison, helping them to begin a business by teaching them how to sew menstrual pads. I'm great at fundraising. I can fundraise lots and lots of money to buy these pads, to buy all the stuff that the women and girls need in the schools. But I am crap at business, and I've run out of money, and I need to start my own business in getting myself back out there so that I can do this work. So that's why I'm here, Tony.
Brilliant. There's lots of crap flying about today.
And can I just ask a question? Very quick question. Have you got a business plan?
No.
You haven't. In your head, but not written down.
Everything's in my head. I've got
Right.
lots of plans, but no, nothing is written down. No. No.
Okay. Well, you might want to take us up on our free audit that we will talk about at the end, because we can help you with that. Well, welcome, Carol Clark.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Hi. Yes, so I'm Carol Clark. I am a chartered town planner. I'm the founder of my business, Bramwell Town Planning, and I'm also a property investor. And in essence, I act for landowners and developers and help them increase the value of their land and property using the planning system. I'm based in Stockport in Greater Manchester, but I do generally work across the country. I work on an awful lot of infrastructure, large hospital applications as well, which is incredibly rewarding because we very much need infrastructure to support our population needs and growth. However, why am I here? I'm completely oversubscribed and have been for several years. My job is very time intensive. My business is time intensive. And so I am seeking to reach more and more people because I turn an awful lot of people away. So I am looking at building additional assets in terms of intellectual intelligence and also progressing more my own property investment business as well. So yeah, so that's me. So lovely to be
I love that.
Carol, just
Yes.
I've got, you might not have heard, I've got to jump off in about 2 minutes, so I've got another workshop to run. Just a quick question on your clients are obviously property developers, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of networking with potential lenders for property development or property investment?
Yes, I work with different lenders. Yes.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Be interested to have your details though, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's really good. Grace and Carol, I think you've probably got a good connection there.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, it'd be worth talking to, actually.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Brilliant. See you later.
I'll see you soon. Next week.
Okay, take care.
Yeah,
Right,
bye,
so we are going to jump right in and whistle stop through 10 big ideas this morning around helping you to find your purpose and thinking about your why and who is it you want to be, what is it you want to be doing, okay? So the first big idea is called soul oxygen. And this comes from some of the work from some people you may have heard, Abraham Maslow, where he talks to us about the hierarchy of needs. But most of us have seen a triangle with the hierarchy of needs that talks about us needing to, first of all, have our sort of security and sort of the base level things met in our life before we can move up to the hierarchy of needs. And it gets to a point that he calls self-actualization. But the model actually goes much wider than that. And this is where, you know, we call it soul oxygen, because he calls it transcendence. So once we've got the basics in our life, which, but you know, at a certain age, we probably all pretty much have that in our lives. There is something more that we all feel that we really want to do, we want to achieve. And we can get to a point where we're not sure what that really is, but it's we need it as much as we need to breathe. You know, this actualization and transcendence beyond the self, which is about providing service that's beyond ourselves, being the best version of ourselves, you know, and whether you believe in you know, a bit woo that is, you know, there's a power greater than ourselves, whatever we might choose to call that, you know, it could be God, it could be the universe, it could be any of that. Our soul force needs that. We need that as human beings. And so this is what we call our soul oxygen. And why is this important? What tends to happen now is we get told by society, and particularly social media, that, you know, life's about candy, you know, and we are trying to go for the extrinsic things in life, you know, collecting, you know, nice things, the material things that we, you know, society's candy, really. It doesn't mean that it makes us happy. And in actual fact, the science tells us that for those of us that go for more intrinsic goals, which are about how do we become a better version of ourselves, how do we invest in ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, those people are 25% more happy. So why not go after that? And so that's about, you know, thinking about service, thinking about being the best version of ourselves. So, you know, when we're thinking about our purpose, what is that for us? Are we getting sidelined by, you know, society's candy and thinking that what, you know, the more stuff we go after that's material, the more happier it's going to make us? When we know that actually that's not the case. So what is important to you that's really intrinsic? You know, how are you going to be providing that service? How can you show up as the best version of yourself? So that's kind of big idea number one. Please drop in the comments if you've got any questions, or stick your hand up. Happy to answer them, and we'll do some at the end as well. Big idea number two is about one purpose, many missions. So I don't know if any of you have heard of Joseph Campbell. He wrote The Hero's Journey, which is basically the one story that gets told in ancient history, in any Disney story, in any great film. It is based on the hero's journey, where the hero of the story basically ends up going out on a quest to find themselves, finds a great mentor. So let's pick Luke Skywalker. He goes out on a quest to find himself. He finds Obi-Wan Kenobi and a great team around him with Yoda. And then he finds his friends on that mission together. And then they come, and the important bit about this is they come back to actually then be in service themselves. So be in service to the galaxy far, far away, or whatever that version is. You know, that is our one purpose. Our unifying purpose as humans is really to find ourselves, to find those mentors that can help us do that, and to come back and then be in service to ourselves. So for me, that has been my number one thing, probably for, you know, 30 years. One purpose is to try and be in service to other people, but many missions, I've done that in many ways. You know, and some of those ways, you know, I fell out royally with, and I realized it wasn't quite the way that I wanted to do things. So I'm talking about my experience in corporate, but actually, you know, I found a way of a way of doing that now for myself. And I'll tell a little bit more of my story as we go through these big ideas, to give you examples of what that's been like for me, and hopefully you've got your own examples. So just thinking about for you, what situations do you have where, your skills meet your challenges? And that's really what helps us find our purpose, is when we align our skills to meet our challenges, and our challenges are just a little bit in advance of our skills, so we have to develop ourselves to get there. If our skills are higher than our challenges, we get bored, we get fed up, we get misaligned. If our challenges are far greater than our skills, then we can actually, reel ourselves backwards, and we get worried about whether we've got the confidence to do that. So it's finding a really fine balance. So in which situations do you have the skills to meet your challenges that are a little bit advanced of where you think you could be? And, that is really unknowable for us. Our skills and our abilities are actually unknowable, and we are all far more capable of what we think we are. And what 3 ideas would you have to give your gifts to the world? What maybe 3 things that you would really love to be doing that you feel like would really more align with what you are doing? And where are you against that right now? So we can send these slides out for you afterwards, and we have got the recording. So if you want to sort of like spend some time on this, because I recognise we're going through at a bit of a pace. The third big idea is your onlyness. So what is it that you and only you can do? So I've got a couple of questions here. Is, I'm the only one who is. I'm the only one who can. So for me, I am the only one that can be the best wife, the best daughter, the best friend to, my family. I'm the only one who can deliver what I deliver in the way that I deliver it. I'm the only one that did this research. I'm the only one that's brought it together in this way. And it doesn't mean that you have to be doing something totally unique that no one else has ever done, but it's thinking about, what are your gifts? What is your experience? What is it that you want to be doing? For some of you who've been in my world before, that I say I'm the only one that's the world's best wife, but don't tell my husband because he might not agree. But that's what I aim to do. That's kind of my purpose, is I want to be a great wife, a great friend, a great daughter, a great sister, but equally, I want to be a transformational philosopher in chief. I want to learn this stuff. I want to bring this back to my clients. I want to be in service. This is why we're doing this free 13-week challenge, because, not everyone knows me and not everyone knows Ian and what we can do for you. But this is your ability to be able to come in and see what we do. And also, we're happy to deliver that for free because, at some point, you may or may want to continue your journey with us. And you have the opportunity to do that. I'll talk to you about that at the end. But, that's my onlyness. So what's yours? I don't know if there's any chat going on here. Put your hand up if you've got anything you want to add or talk about. So big idea number 4, and I love this, it's actually called retirement, ikigai, and swimming rats. So retirement, I think it's a nuts concept. And actually, we don't have to go too far back to realise it was never a thing. So it was after the Second World War, a guy called Otto von Bismarck, German, I think you might be able to tell from that name, decided that in Germany, everyone would retire at 65 in order to free up jobs for young people. So there was no movement in the talent pipeline. So they did that in Germany. But the reason they chose this arbitrary figure of 65 was because then The average lifespan of a German and most people was 67. So you had 2 years beyond retirement to go off, I don't know, play golf or whatever it, you know. We were sold this idea, we literally were marketed this idea that you've got another couple of years where you don't have to work and you can go off and walk around the golf course or have some leisure time. You know, people didn't think about that before. It just wasn't a thing. And certainly now, when we all live hopefully a lot longer than 67, I think it's bonkers. So for me, I am never going to retire. But basically from 1952, the whole world took on this idea that we would get people to retire at 65. Now, obviously, in the modern world, we're shifting some of those dates because someone's got to pay for that. And you know, and our pensions are based on, Stuart, you'll be able to tell us this, but based on us living to about 120. But you know, a lot more people live to a lot longer age than, you know, 65 now. So it's a bonkers idea. And there is a reason for me talking about this, because there is a place in Japan where they have seen that it's got the world's biggest population, over 101. And they did some research into what that was about, and they drilled it down to this thing called an ikigai, not an icky guy, but an ikigai, and it means your reason to get up in the morning. So these people have really strong purpose-led lives, which is, you know, there was a 101-year-old guy teaching karate still every morning in the park, and that was his ikigai. That was his reason to get up in the morning, his reason for being. Others sharing with their partners, you know, what theirs is. You know, another guy of the age of 80 still writing a book, and that was his ikigai, his purpose, his reason for getting up in the morning. And they showed in this research that it wasn't diet, it wasn't other things, but having this ikigai gave them strength and vitality that went way beyond their years. And it still happens today. So what's your ikigai? What is your reason for getting up in the morning? And then swimming rats, again, another piece of research, again back in the 50s, and I don't agree with testing on animals, but this is what they did. There's an American researchers were throwing rats into buckets of water and seeing how long they could swim for. And they could swim for 15 minutes, give or take. But what they then did was, at close on 15 minutes, they started taking the rats out, giving them a rest, and then throwing them back into the water. And guess what? They lasted longer than the 15 minutes, because what that action did was give them hope that actually they might be saved. But do you know how much hope that gave them? So how much longer they would be able to swim for? Anyone want to guess how much longer they wanted to swim for? They could swim for. Well, it wasn't 2 times. It wasn't 3 times their 15 minutes. It was 64 hours. 64 hours these rats managed to cling on because we gave them hope. And what hope does for people is it gives us that reason for being. It gives us vitality, it gives us energy, and it helps us live longer. It helps us get up, it helps us get over the, you know, whatever life is throwing us at the moment. So it's massively important that we have this in our lives, and it means that we are, like I say, 25% more happy, but also it gives us more energy, more longevity as well. We live longer. So big idea number 5 is the internet. And I like this because what we do tend to get caught up now, stimulus from the internet email, social media has actually been proven to decrease our intelligence, okay? And really interesting, again, another study showed that it decreases women's intelligence by 5%, but men's intelligence by 15%. I don't know why that's different, but an average of 10%, it's taking your intelligence away. So what we want to do is, in order to feed our soul oxygen, is to think about how do we unplug from some of that? How do we get, stop that IQ being depleted by getting consumed by something different, which is, we're calling it the internet. So how can we get within ourselves and think about, we're unplugging from that external stimulus to think about what is it that we could do that is better use of our time? How can we plug into that is actually going to build and will help us work towards our purpose? And what we constantly think about can be really affected by what we're consuming on the internet, on Netflix. Now, I might have used this if for any of you who worked with me before. I started watching a series. It was Game of Thrones. I really got into it on I don't know if it was Sky or Netflix, one or the other. And I started dreaming that I was in the bloody show. And I was thinking, this is madness. There are better things that I could do in my time. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't say I don't watch these things, but I don't let it consume me. And I really be careful about how much I'm doing or not doing on that. So I've just got a note, but it's from your note taker, Trevor, so I'll ignore it for a minute. Okay, so big idea number 6 is the failure hall of fame. So a couple of you mentioned already today about confidence and building your confidence. And there's only one thing that will build our confidence, and it's getting into and staying in action, taking little steps towards where it is that you want to go to. But also is we want to accept, discover, and do what it is that we want to do. And accept that if we're inspired to do something, let's not wait, because like none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Many of us are at a certain age where we don't know, how much longer we've got. But so don't wait, don't put these things off. And some of the people who have achieved some of the biggest things actually have massive amount of failure. Look at Edison and the light bulb. I can't remember how many years. It's like 101 times he failed at trying to get the light bulb to work before he finally succeeded. Michael Jordan, and I know it's an Americanism, but Michael Jordan is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. But he likes to talk about, he's probably the one that has missed the most, goal score attempts. So for every attempt that he has had at getting a goal in the net in the basketball, he's actually missed 10 times. So it's actually in the failure and getting ourselves up and over that actually moves us towards where it is that we want to get to. So what is it that you qualify so far in the sort of failure hall of fame? I have actually had many businesses, 2 of whom I was originally sort of kind of behind the scenes with my husband, and kind of I didn't want to put myself out there, and I didn't want to leave my role and my sort of quest to get in the corporate world. So I didn't really feel I was successful at that. He was doing what he wanted to do. I was behind the scenes, like doing the books and the stuff that women often do. I then set up my first business on my own after I failed in my corporate role. And I failed at that. I actually ended up taking my business to £1 million turnover, and I lost a massive contract. And I had to shut my business down and start all again in 2018. And so, like, you know, that for me, I could have given up at any one of those points, but I didn't. So because my purpose, my one purpose, but many missions, is I'm still on that purpose. And I've again set up a new business with Ian, and we're doing some different stuff together. So, you know, hopefully we're getting to the point where I'm not going to fail so much, but, you know, stuff happens very regularly where we, you know, I have to pick myself up and start again. So what qualifies you for the Failure Hall of Fame? And what is it that you want to go after that? Actually, it doesn't matter if you fail on the way, you're still that passionate about what your purpose is that you will keep going after it on a different mission. So I spoke to you about the hero's journey, and that's all really about being the author of your own story and being really careful about what story you tell yourself. So there's two stories. You've got your victim or your hero. So are you being the victim in your story and really stopping yourself, getting in your own way? So some of us spoke about that in our introductions. We're getting in our own way. We're being a victim. You know, maybe we don't like the position we're in, but actually the only way we're going to get out of it is by doing something different and kind of accepting what is. We have to accept where we are today. Where we are today is the sum total of everything that we've been doing up to now. So it is what it is, accept what is, love what is even, and decide we're going to be the author of the next stage of that. No matter where that takes us, as I say, we can't guarantee where we go, where we're going to end up, or how much we can achieve is unknowable, really. But are we going to go after something heroically and decide that we're the author, we're making the choices, and we're going after it, no matter what is today, no matter what we don't like about it, no matter whether, you know, the economy's crap, or it might be crap, or, you know, we hate Keir Starmer, or we love Keir Starmer, or the fact that Trump's got in. All of those things we allow to get in our way, and we become a victim, or we can become a victim of circumstances and things that actually are way beyond our control. So be the author of your own story, decide what it is that you want to do and go after that. And heroically, because I like to call it the hero's journey because I mentioned it about it's the core theme of any film. So none of us will sit and watch a film where the hero is just being a victim, you know, or the core aim of the story is just to tell us about someone being a victim. We want to see, you know, the hero with the cape around his or her neck, you know, really going out there to save the universe, don't we? They are the good stories. So we can create our own story like that. What is it that we want that to be like? And that's what your purpose is all about, is what is it that, you know, massively you really have a yearning to go after and sort out. So next big idea is don't take advice and don't conform. And when I think about, when I'm saying don't take advice, I'm saying yes, take advice from professionals, but not from family and friends, not from people who haven't done this before, not from people who think we are nuts as business owners doing what we do, because they don't get us. And you know, they can hold us back, and what they can do is project onto us their fears, their anxiousness, the fact that they might see their life changing because they can see we're going after something that they're too scared to do for themselves. So, you know, like, don't take advice from that, and definitely don't conform. And I don't mean don't conform by wearing odd socks or weird shoes. I'm saying don't conform by, you know, watching other people on social media and doing the things the way they do. You know, be your own self, do you, no one else can do you better, and don't, you know, compare or conform to what, you know, society's candy tells us that we should be doing. So think of some areas maybe where you think, okay, this I've taken some bad advice in the past, or you know, what was true for you in terms of some of that advice, and then think of a time where you have conformed and it's not really helped you. And then think about, okay, what is it that doing you as your best self looks like? What does that look like for you? Big idea number 9 is the black hole of transformation. So it's about how do we focus our attention and where do we let that slip the most? And the reason I've used an analogy of the black hole, enter the black hole, because the black hole is all about a singularity. It's a focus point that sucks everything into it, okay? So what is it that you're prepared to really focus on and really give all your energy to it? Again, as I said, deciding on your path, you know, what people, what things would you cut out in order to achieve this? You know, what things might be getting in your way in order for you to achieve that one thing that you're going after? And what is it that you could change? So the reason Stephen Hawking did a massive, like, not that I pretend to understand black holes properly, I'm not pretending to be a scientist here. But Stephen Hawking did a lot of research onto a black hole, and originally they thought that when you go into a black hole, or anything goes into a black hole, it's actually destroyed, but it isn't. He found that it was transformed. It transforms everything that goes in there. So like, this is why I've used the analogy, is like, what if you want to transform, you need to go after one thing. You need to really focus. What is it you're prepared to obsess about and make the decision? And the word decide means to cut in Latin. So what other things are you prepared to cut out in order to go after what it is that you really, really want to achieve, that purpose? What society's candy, what sweets can you cut out? You know, what things are you addicted to that are getting in your way? So Stu, you mentioned that, you know, this year is going to be different from what you said. I remember you saying that exactly this time last year, actually. So what's getting in your way of stopping you really focusing? Yeah, go on, Stu, you were going to answer.
Yeah, there was that little speed bump in May that got in the way.
Yes.
You may remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff does get in the way. And I think it is great. It's like, yeah, what if stuff's getting in the way, how can we pick ourselves up from it? How can we cut some of that out of our life? You know, so for me, I know that, you know, I can get consumed by social media. It's a brilliant tool to go on and get, you know, clients. Some of you are here because of social media, so it's brilliant. But if I allow myself to go down the rabbit hole and not use it properly, or get consumed by it, then I can waste hours, and I'm not being the best version of myself. I'm certainly not building my business. I'm certainly not getting more clients. You know, I'm wasting hours. And, you know, for me, I've had to kind of cut that out and not get consumed by that, not allow myself to do it unless I'm in it for a purpose, which is to get clients and to get my content out there. And then I'm off, you know, so I have some certain times a day. Also for me, what gets in my way is, you know, bad food. I spoke at the beginning, I'm not sure if we were on record at that point, but, you know, I'm trying to cut out alcohol this year. I know it does me no favours. It knocks me out for days. Why am I drinking? I don't need that in my life. So, yeah, what am I willing to cut in order to be a better version of myself, so I can show up with more energy and have more longevity to be able to do what it is I love doing? Finally, the big idea number 10 is all about, it's a bit of mathematics really, infinity, or plus one to the power of infinity to perfect yourself. So what would my gift to the world be? What would your gift to the world be? And how can I improve myself? Plus one, which is 1%, or one little thing every day, every week, to the power of infinity breaks the calculator, okay? It means that the compound interest of that is absolutely massive. I think I was talking to someone a few weeks ago and they were saying, oh, well, if I plus one every day for 365 days, it's actually 365% better. It isn't, it's 2,648% better. It's massive. So what one little thing could we be doing every single day that's going to improve our step forward into growth rather than back into safety? It could also be, what one little thing could we be stopped doing? Because that's almost a +1. It's almost a +2, because if you take one off and move forward at the same time, we're moving forward 2 steps. And I invite you to have a look at, you know, where are you going to get the best energy, the best version of yourself? I failed to run anything, I think, without mentioning what I call the fundamentals, which is taking care of your mind, eating, moving, sleeping. How do you get those baked in so that you can have the best energy to show up you know, no matter how bad you feel, you still show up. And this is where this really counts, is because this is not saying you will not have a bad day again. But what I can honestly say is working on this stuff means that my bad days are not as bad as they used to be, that I get back into action when I get knocked back much quicker than I used to be, and that my best days are better than they ever used to be. So this is about just trying to do just one little percentage point at a time, but around these fundamentals, which are the foundations for, you know, our energy and how we show up in work and in service, and in love. You know, when I say that, I mean our community, our nearest and dearest, and our wider friends and families. How we show up as our best versions is by taking care of these things. So what are the +1s that you think you could work on in each of these areas? And like I say, I can we'll send out the stuff to you so that you've got this, so that you can spend some time on this. And you know, with all of these masterclasses, it is a 13-week series. We are going to repeat them, so if you've come in later, it doesn't matter where you join us, you can still keep going. But it is about actually then taking the time out after this to really think about, okay, what does this mean for me? What is it that I am going to do as a result? So that is the 10 big ideas for today. If you've got any questions, come on the mic, or you know, take your mute off and I'll answer some questions if you want to, or you can put them in the chat. I've got a couple of questions here. I'm just going to check. Yeah, Trevor, you're right. Confidence comes with the lessons positively learned from failure. Absolutely. On the other side of failure is success. And if we don't allow ourselves to take a step that might not work, and who knows unless we take it, then we're never going to learn. And my view is we win or we learn, whatever step we take. And often we self-sabotage by beating ourselves up when something goes wrong. And Pam and I were talking about this last night, weren't we? Is actually only data. And if we can take the emotion out of it, it really helps. Any other questions? Anyone got any questions they want to ask? Well, you can ask, just unmute yourself if you want to. But before we go, I'm just going to do a review at the end. But before we go, if you really would like to free up your time this year, because I know, like, for most of us in business, that's the one thing that we haven't cracked yet. You know, we're getting our business on track, we're growing our business, we're either comfortable in our business, or, you know, it's doing quite well. But what's really happening is we're not freeing up the time that actually we really wanted when we first started in business, or we're not freeing up the time to work on the things that we know are really important to work to take us to, you know, or for that next chapter for us. So if you want to have a free time audit with myself and Ian, there is a link there. Tyee, is going to put that in the chat for you. If please just click on it, and then what we'll help you to do is really unpack that for you. What does that look like, and how can we help you like really free up that time and, you know, finally get that crap out of the way, stop you you know, doing the things that you know, really working on the wrong things. You know, that could be team, your own time, it could be processes, don't know what it is, but we can help you like really figure out how you can win that time back and to work on the things that you want to. And some of that, I know for me, getting that time back enabled me to kind of get to Spain, live half my life here, and have some time to actually enjoy it, enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the lifestyle that I've got here. And that, you know, took some time to work out what I need to do that. So all of it is things and tips and tools that I've actually put into practice myself that I know work. So please do book that in. Before we go then, close on 5 to 10, is what have you got out of today? If you want to share that, what's important now for you? What are some things that you're going to do as a result of today? Anyone want to share?
Go on, I'll go first.
Thank you, Stu.
I like the this. I mean, it's something I've probably wrestled with for quite a long time. The ikigai thing about, you know, what is my purpose? I'm working quite hard on trying to do that. So again, that just helps. I think I quite like just a little phrase, to be honest.
Yeah.
What is my ikigai?
Yeah.
What am I an ikigai?
Oh, that ikigai. Yeah.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
And also the kind of the black hole concept. This
Yeah.
point, actually, you know, you've got to kind of step through something to kind of then come out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. And all of the gurus, you know, from ancient wisdom to modern science to positive psychology and neuroscience, say that if we focus, that is what creates the success in our business and in our careers. And it's being able to have that absolute focus on, this is what I do, this is who I am, and this is who I serve. And the more we can get focused and sort of narrowed down on that and niched on that, you know, the more it frees up our time, because we're not messing with things that don't help, you know, aren't taking us in the right direction, aren't aligned to what we do. I mean, that was part of the reason I ended up shutting down my first business, is because I ended up with a sales team who was selling everything to everybody. And I'm like, what the hell are we delivering? You know, I've got £1 million turnover. It's really great, but I am not enjoying anything that we're doing. It's not what I set out to do. But you know, it happens to us when we, you know, can just lose sight of who are we, what is it we're here to do, and who are we serving with our offer. And how we got like taken off that path. So yeah, brilliant. Anyone else?
Yeah, honestly, the last one, the big idea number 10 with the +1 thing,
Yeah,
it's actually something that I teach with what I do, is if you can do nothing more, just do one job a day.
yeah,
Okay, so you're just doing that one thing, because there's 365 days in a year. If you do one thing towards being more self-reliant every single day, that's a huge amount of tasks, and it doesn't have to take more than 10-15 minutes. Some days it might take an hour, some days it may take 2 hours, but you know, it doesn't have to be used. So actually seeing this being used in other parts might actually help me to balance work and home things, because I spend probably 80% of my life at home working from home. You know, I don't have a lot of balance there, because it's very hard to put up those, you know, walls of, no, this is my work time, this is what I've got to do, no distractions.
I think there's a couple of things there for me. If you're doing something that's truly aligned with your purpose, then actually why would there be a distinction between kind of work and life and, you know, love? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I am doing what I truly love doing.
Yeah.
I do have to get some balance between the time I spend on that, because I am literally consumed by it because I love it so much. But that means then I forget to be present for other people. But then also we are all idiosyncratic. So I always say be careful of that word balance, because like for me, that sounds like it might be 50-50. And for me, it definitely isn't. And I don't want it to be. But so what does that look like? And then, yes, you're absolutely right, is finding that time for you, family, friends, or whatever else is important to you. And that's all different for all of us. And what the one thing that having real clarity on your purpose and then your goals means you can much more easily say no to people, which quite often, particularly for women, we find that hard to do. And we're really clear it's a massive yes when it's aligned. And so that really helps us with that sort of focus.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pam. And you're gonna
have to unmute. Yes, no, I was just gonna say that ikigai, I think I found my reason and my purpose.
yes.
I hadn't given it a name before. And you know, I put in that bit about retirement is just like, nope, you know, I don't want to go back to teaching, I don't want to be a lecturer, but I have found a new purpose. You know, and I'm pushing 70, and this ikigai now is giving me reason to get up in the morning and giving me much more strength, vitality, energy than I've ever had before. And I also love that 1%.
Yeah.
I have a thing that saying that says, do something today that will define your tomorrow. And I think that's that lines really beautifully with your 1%. So whatever it is you're going to do, whether it's saving £10 or £5 or 10p, you know, but you do it for 365 days, or you do something to improve your health, or whatever it is, but just making that tiny improvement that will make your tomorrow better. That really resonated with me. I'm going to find little bits of everything, because society's sweets and candy, I'm so guilty of that scrolling, and I need to get out of that habit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, there's only two industries in the world that call their clients users: drugs and tech.
Wow.
So there you go. That's my theory anyway. Because it's addictive, it's meant to be. So yeah, thank you for that, Anne. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, I'll chip in. I'd say I really like the first point about soul, oxygen, and everything being in place to be the best version of you, because what works for you might not work for other people. I know when I did the course with you before, sort of lockdown times, it was about doing deep work, and the time of that, like some of my bosses are really morning people. I'm definitely not a morning person. So doing deep work 7 till 9 isn't going to work for me, and it's just a reminder of what does work for you and that being okay. And that kind of links into the point 8 as well about who you take advice from. And again, being young, there's quite a lot of opinions thrown around, like say social media. Everyone can have it now of what's expected of you, when you should achieve it, and everyone's on a different timeline, and everyone's starting business at different ages, and it's just remembering, like you say, not to compare, and if it feels right for you, then go with it.
Yeah, and that comparison thing is so massive for all of us, because it creates the imposter syndrome, and it definitely is the thief of joy and confidence. You know, the minute, and I do it very regularly, I'll see something and I'll think, oh, well, she's only young, she's doing this. And also what we're getting is a caricature of people's lives. We're not really seeing what's really happening. And so we're making loads of assumptions about, you know, how successful they are or they are not. And then trying to, you know, map ourselves against that. And it's just not reality. So yeah, absolutely, be you and with your own constraints and of reality, and
Yeah.
be you with what your own author, which is why I love that, is like be your own author, which is, you know, authentic comes from as well.
Yeah.
And you create what you want to create.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well working with different people. Obviously, I've moved around recently, and how everyone's driven by something different and not assuming that people are driven by the same thing as you. Particularly like some people are driven by work-life balance, so either flexible working, others are financially driven, so actually giving them bonuses will drive them. And it's interesting to work out what drives you and then finding it.
Yeah, and also seeing that changes, you know, with age. You know, and we probably all can remember a time where, you know, what was important to us was getting a good job, getting our career, getting a good salary, and getting our house or our mortgage or our home, and having that safety, that kind of bottom foundation of that hierarchy of needs. But once you've done that, and you've done that for a little while, you literally do have as much as your need to breathe, a need for something that's bigger than yourself. You know, this is not what life's about, just doing stuff to get more money to buy more things. Obviously, it's nice to have money, but that's not really what we're all about. Most people aren't driven by that, unless it's in their early career. But yeah, anyone else? Hi, Shumza and Zara. I know you came in a little bit later, so thanks for coming in. There is a recording, so we will send it out to you, and hopefully you can join us again next week. So yeah, we've gone past the 10 o'clock mark, so I will let you all go. But this is our contact details: phone or text, email, and then if you want to book, then the link is in the chat anyway for the free time freedom audit. And well, I look forward to seeing you next week for those of you who can make it, and look out for the socials to see what the topic is next week.
Tony.
All right then, you
Great
take
one, guys.
care.
Thanks a lot. Nice meeting everybody. Bye.
No.
Thank you.
Bye.